Hello everyone, my name is Wesley, and today we're going to start talking about our first set of graphic narrative, which is the quick and easy guide to queer and trans identities, featuring Mady G and Zuckerberg. The first thing we're going to start talking about is actually the authors and illustrators. So the first one is Mady G, who is new to the cartooning and comic scene from 2017. They have been published on the website The Nib, as well as their own website and Twitter. They do webcomics as well as their feature in this graphic narrative. They have a BFA in illustration from Pratt University in Brooklyn, New York from 2015. They also do drag and do a lot of community polls and updates on their Twitter. Also, some of their works that they have done that is a part of the idea of trans identities is bathroom politics, boobs aren't binary, and some writings on sexual assault. And then we also have Zuckerberg. They have a BFA in Communications Design also from Pratt University from 2017, online blogger and cartoonist. They're also an illustrator and a craftsperson. They post webcomics to Twitter and Tumblr. So, this short graphic narrative is actually a part of a small collection of other graphic narratives that have come out through Oni Press, which is quick and easy guides to them pronouns, queer and trans identities, sex and disability, and consent. We're going to see this small series continue, I believe, through the next year or so. Each of them runs for about $10 US price, $13 Canada price. You can buy them online. That's where I found mine. This narrative takes the stance of our snail friend here, who goes along and is teaching these other snails about queer and trans identities. As we're going through, we learn about different terminologies, different histories, as well as how these terms are applied to certain individuals. Each book is written and illustrated by different authors and illustrators, but the general idea is just to have these quick and easy guides to be able to communicate ideas to the general public. These books are designated for older teens and adult ranges. Don't let the cute snails deceive you. These are not being sold as narratives for kids, though I believe some of the information, if taught correctly, could benefit younger children as well as younger teens. So it's actually inside this short narrative. There are 7 chapters in this narrative. The first one is, what is gender identity? The second one is, now what's gender expression? What does dysphoria mean? What is asexuality? What does it mean to come out? What is queer? And relationship basics. So it covers a wide variety of topics, though some are very specialized within this graphic narrative. So some of the things that I liked about this narrative is that it talks about how the defining of identities does not identify or define who they are or who these people are, specifically talking about queer and trans people are not limited to that of their identities. That their identities are just ways to help them express and be who they are and be able to feel a part of the community. Specifically in this text, they use the term gender and not sex because they actually go into this in the narrative, but the difference between sex and gender, and they use gender conforming and non-conforming terms throughout the entire narrative, which I'm very happy to see because both of the authors and illustrators are gender non-conforming people. They have a lot of explanations about how there are different spectrums in the LGBT community, specifically queer and the trans identities, and asexuality, which is specified in the novel. They have a very nice spectrum and graph or visual being shown here to help explain gender fluidity. They also have a couple different historical tidbits in here, though I don't feel it goes into enough detail. specifically when talking about the history of queer, the history of these different visuals, and where these terms of trans and queer and non-binary and butch, sometimes these terms can be better identified or more so given explanations to, as well as histories, which I think would really benefit this narrative. The dating information in here, as well as relationship advice, I find in the last chapter to be very good and beneficial, but I feel like it should be its own book, because navigating relationships while queer or trans can be very difficult for some people, and this way, if it has its own novel, it can help take the perspective of both the person who is queer or gender nonconforming, or gender nonconforming, as well as the person that they are dating, or persons that they are dating. And being able to bring these ideas together in one novel, I think, would definitely benefit this series. Something I really liked about this narrative, besides the cute snails, which my roommates find a little bit creepy, are the kids or the kids or adults or teens, the people who are in this narrative. They're all different sizes, they're all different shades of color, even though they're a very diverse cast. I wish, though, that I had more about their stories. Some things that I didn't like about this narrative is that the history of the term queer is so short. I think the term should have more justice put to it, particularly how it says that it's reclaimed when we're still on the process of reclaiming the word, and this takes on a very United States attachment to this. I think that cultural attachment should be stated in the narrative. There are little interludes throughout the pink, which is of this blue, which is about the Sproutlings, which is a made-up world from J.R. Zuckerberg, which is meant to explain a new type of community where queer and gender nonconforming people could be accepted and would be a normalized situation. I feel that this could be its own novel in its sense, or its own narrative, because it's a beautiful story and I love the world that's been created, but I don't feel like it fits in with this narrative that's been built as educational, and then it has the utopian scenarios put in alongside it. The utopian scenarios of the Sproutlings are just way too short of interludes and it kind of distracts from the information that the snails are giving. There's a couple of facts in here that I come to question, whether it's just the writer's experiences, such as like with sex repulsion, gender nonconforming and non-binary avatar, avatar connections, which you would understand once you possibly pick this up and read it. There are just a couple of facts that I come to question in the narrative, but overall, I think a lot of work was put into it, and I think that it could be better. So this is called a quick and easy guide. I would personally call it an introduction. This is a quick introduction to queer and trans identities, because the terminologies that are used are still being adapted, they're still being grown, they're still being used. The whole community of LGBTQIA+ is still growing. The terms that are attached to gender nonconforming people and queer people are even more so growing exponentially, the amount of terms that exist. And this book, this narrative, puts out a couple ideas and is almost like a taste testing of certain terms, and allows for a space to start discovering and talking about gender nonconforming people as well as queer people. But I would not call it a guide. So let's talk about the art style next. So there are two different worlds that are built within this narrative. There is our world, which is in this pinks and yellows and purples backgrounds and The panels are written or made with purple outlines. And then there is the world of the Sproutlings, which is these blues, yellows, and greens. I really like the color palette for this narrative. I like how it's not the stereotypical black and white or sepia. It's very colorful and bright and inviting. The more cartoon and bubbly styles of the snails and the people and just the backgrounds allow for a more inviting sense of you're here to learn, but we're here to have fun with it at the same time. So overall, I would give this narrative a 2 out of 5. There's a lot of good content, there's a lot of information that's provided, but not enough in order for me to feel like I have been satisfied. One of the redeeming qualities of this narrative, though, is near the back of the book, they actually provide a list of resources that you could go to if you need any aid or help trying to find it. Here we go. So they have places to go for more information, relationship and sex, LGBTQ youth and students, LGBTQ plus elders, family members, educators and allies, as well as the Trans Life Hotline, the Trevor Product, Suicide Prevention Hotline, and GLBT Hotline. And then it suggests that we go and look at other books, which I really appreciate that this narrative has done, to say that we're not the only people who have these experiences, and we are not necessarily the experts. So go ahead and reach out to other people. So overall, I give it a 2 out of 5. There was a lot of effort put in, and I can see it growing, but I want more content. I want more, and I want the world of the Sproutlings to be its own narrative, and I want more stories from the people as opposed to the snails. The snails can provide the information, but I want more anthology or memoir type writing within the narrative. So thank you all for joining me. I really appreciated having you join me today for talking about a quick and easy guide to queer and trans identities. I'll be having another one coming out soon on our next book, which is going to be Spellbound, and I cannot wait to see you all later. All right, have a good day. Bye.